I am going to give you the three things you absolutely must do every single day in sales to make sure you're 100% successful. And once you hear it, you're going to go, "Well, Frank, that's obvious." Yes, it's very basic and it's very obvious, but these are the things that I have found that absolutely guarantee you the best or highest chance of success. So number one, you got to have your financial target. Okay, sounds crazy. We'll just take an example. I want to make 100,000 per year. This is a basic level. It could be less, it could be more, but I'm just doing this so it can be a simple, easy way to illustrate this point. Well, that's going to be about 8,333 monthly goal, which is very close to about 2,000 on the week. It's 1,923. So we know every day, okay, what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to hit that 385 on a 5-day work week per day. Now it could be a little bit more, but I just want you to illustrate. So every day we know we want to be on track with our activities to be able to provide for that. Okay, a lot of people don't know. They just say a number, I want to make six figures, but they don't really know exactly what the pathway is or what they need to be doing when we really start breaking down all the activities. So we got to know our numbers. We have to know what the financial targets, and every single day we're being accountable, and every week we're being accountable, and every month we're being accountable, right? So then once we break that down, and we'll take a real estate example, right? So if we're doing it on that, we want to make sure, as just a general rule, to be able to hit that target, we're going to be shooting for four under contract. Okay, now I don't know if you're aware of this. Most people in real estate are, but not everyone, right, goes to the finish line. So we're going to just assume that one for sure is going to fall out. Now, I've seen it where all of them go through, but and I've seen it where the average might be 20%, but I like to err on the side of caution. So we're just going to say one for sure, for whatever reason, is just not going to happen. So we need four to get three, which we're still ahead. And the reason we're going to be striving as hard as we can to get those four, because yes, we might pick up those four a month in the spring and in the summer and maybe potentially in the fall. But I promise you, it's going to be a little more challenging in the winter. In some places, it's much more difficult. Here in Arizona, it's definitely, you can still do it in certain areas, but traditionally it is slower. There are more vacations, there's more things. So we kind of need to make sure that we're hitting it for those other months to have a little bit of cushion to make sure we're hitting our goals. So I like to just target and obviously figure this out for your particular industry. If it's in sales, different areas, that's the hotter time of the market. But we're going to shoot for four, and we really want a goal of three of those going through. Occasionally, we're going to have two. Okay, occasionally we could have one. We'll have to make that up if it's a slower time of year, but we want to be targeting for that. Okay, so that's the very first thing. Break it down so we know what our daily win is. We're gonna go over the steps that are gonna help ensure those wins by our activities, but you gotta at least know what the number is for each week, each day, and for that month. So we're tracking, including the ones that are potentially going to fall out on average. And the longer you do this, you're going to be have this more dialed in. But we want to make sure that right we're tracking in our mind. We've got this. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is, of course, that accountability piece. But we're going to say 10 meaningful conversations per day. And this is really the fight, right? That's the 50 conversations a week. That's going to give you, on average, 200 a month, which I believe will lead, certainly as our skill comes up, to those potential for the four transactions a month once we get going, once we have the pace, once we are doing this on a daily basis. So the key is we've got to get to those meaningful conversations per day. And I'm willing to bet if you're having 10 and you've ramped up and you've practiced and you've role played and you've got the skills down, and certainly if you like this stuff and you want to know, well, what do I need to do in those meaningful conversations, jump right into my coaching, and I'll go over that, especially in my paid coaching. I'll break this down for you so you know exactly what you need to do, how you need to do it. You can get the links below, and you can, of course, start in the free as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment if these things are valuable. But we'll go over and we're going to have meaningful conversations, right? From there, we're going to set appointments. From the appointments, right, we're going to get the opportunities. And let's say we're closing, and of course, there's always someone that says they close 100%. Okay. Yeah, it's possible, but over time, probably there's for most people, you're going to have some that you don't. Some aren't going to show up, right? Some, as you get better over time, you're going to do better. But let's just assume that it takes that 200 conversations a month for us to have solidly, let's say, four transactions, one drops out. We're going to be in that 2 to 3 range to be able to hit our goals, okay, comfortably. So then if we start to do it like that in a month of 200 conversations, now they're worth about $41 per conversation. So you're starting to see, right, why we're setting that goal and that daily goal. If we're doing our 10 conversations, is like we're earning that 385. We're now meeting the standard of it because those conversations over time have a dollar amount attached. So every time we're doing one, right, the conversation is going to basically be worth about $42. So if you're like, well, how do I know if I've covered that day of what I need to meet? Well, if the daily goal is right 385, then we need to make sure that we're having those 10 conversations, right, to roughly hit that 420 is, I guess, what it would be to be able to cover that 385. So that's how you know if you're doing it or not. The daily conversations, because all of those are eventually going to lead through, the path through math to be able to set the appointments, to be able to get those opportunities. And then, of course, this gets better as we get more skilled. That's why we want to role play. That's why we want to practice. That's why we want to master our craft because it gets easier the more we do this because we're going to be better with the conversations. We're going to be going to the next part, which I'll talk about shortly, that's going to help this. And then we're going to also be very much accountable. Now we know what we need to do each day rather than, oh, well, I've got a couple deals. I'm good. Yes, but sometimes they fall out. You get behind. And if you're not putting in the work, you're not building your pipeline, right? So now you're falling behind because you think you have a couple appointments, but remember, it's going to average. So some days you're going to set a lot of appointments. Other days you'll have conversations, but it won't. It's going to even out. But we want to make sure we're doing everything we can every single day. So hopefully that step makes sense and we're doing it. And it's just something you have to really think about and master so that you can win each day. That's a key. We don't want to slip and just win 1 or 2 days of the week. We want to push every single day. Great things happen when you have 10 meaningful conversations every single day. And then once you have that, once you get through the meaningful conversations, then I would say for the next thing, and this is one that we're going to be build ongoing to make all these things easier. We want to be doing organic marketing. This is where we want to start building our organic reach. Okay, so we've got the meaningful conversations. It's awesome. They're going to create those opportunities for us. And we're going to follow up. We're going to do everything we can on that. But once we do that and we have that, well, now we want to try to do stuff. So the very first step is I say you want to at least post one valuable piece of social media content. Okay, this could be, and make sure you get in my coaching programs. I go over this stuff. It could be a marketing tip. It could be a mistake, a seller tip. Right? We go through all these. But something in there where it's of value to someone. They see it and they're like, oh, that was great. We keep doing that, right? Just like these videos, if I keep bringing value, you're going to come back and say, okay, let's see the next one. But we want to start doing that. Then as we progress, as we start doing one of those a day, we can share a personal story. We can share an experience, a success, or behind the scenes, right? Show a little bit about yourself. We're going to go with people we know, like, and trust us, right? So let's share, let's open up a little bit. We want to do that. Then you want to make sure you're commenting on a few people's posts. Just start with 1, 2, or 3, whatever. Then you'll eventually get to where you're commenting on 10 to 20 people's posts. Well, now they're seeing that. We're engaging with them, right? They see it's just not all take. We want to give, we want to respond, we want to ask questions. Those lead to other things, right? So sometimes we just say, hey, we don't just say nice. We say, hey, congratulations on whatever your new place. That backyard is amazing, right? We're improving the quality of our content, our comments, and the engagement. Okay, and these are easy things you can do to reach out, which then leads to other things, right? So if you're starting, let's say you have a Facebook group, you're starting a YouTube channel. Okay, just do one thing at a time and slowly build up. But now we're getting more opportunities to help, right? To build our network. Now we're using that organic reach, right? So for myself, just from my Facebook group, it's over 20 million views per year. So it's just this massive opportunity that I endlessly have. Like for the stuff that I'm doing, it's like just an endless stream of potential clients or people that I'm able to offer help or advice or coaching or whatever. It just is nonstop. But that was built over time of just doing it every single day and just starting with just a couple things a day, right? Then you want to reach out as we get going and send, maybe like one personal message a day, then build it to two or three, and then maybe to five. Hey, just saw something about this. I'm happy to help. Or quick question, do you know anyone that's looking, right, to do this? Or here's a project or blah, 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 right? It could, of course, be looking to buy or sell in a certain area or you have a home. Depends on the relationship, right? And then we're following up with our past clients. But these kind of things you absolutely want to build up. And then when you're putting things out there, right? When we're doing the open house or we're doing, hey, who would like to join the first time buyer's webinar? Now they have a relationship with you, so they've seen you, that you've been commenting, you're interacting. Now they say, yeah, sure, I'll take a look. I'm thinking about doing it. Okay, great. Now that those will start to come in, which now is assisting and making it easier for us to have those 10 conversations, which by the way could be 15, 20, or 25. Especially if we don't have appointments, it can be a lot higher. But I'm just saying 10 is a standard. So hopefully this has helped. And now you can look at the way I like to structure and organize that a little bit so that we know what we need to be doing every single day to be successful. And I promise, if you do these things, your odds are going to increase. Of course, you have to get the skill sets to be better with the conversations. You have to grow your organic. That's going to help over time, but at least we're doing it. We're starting, even if it's just the basic level. We're adding one person. That's fine. We're building our followers. We're building our reach. We're building our engagement. You don't have to start at millions or whatever per year. Just start with one a day and just keep improving that. But make sure that if you have any questions, if you can comment below, you can always reach out to me. Get signed up in the free one for sure. Get in the paid one when you're really serious and ready to take action. I will push you. I will help be accountable. I will hold you accountable and help you really push past that. But do those things below. Push if you're doing it. If you're doing any of these things now, post it that you are. I'm going to bring this. I really want to help you be successful. I know these are really good things that help me quite a bit. So I know for sure they work. So focus on those things and have a great rest of the day. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.